Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise, get straight to the core insights. And today, wow, we are plunging into the really high stakes world of crisis management. We're looking at leadership through the eyes of someone who has, well, truly seen it all.
Absolutely.
Our source for this deep dive is Admiral William H. McRaven's new book. It's called Conquering Crisis. It's actually coming out April 22, 2025, so highly anticipated.
Very much so.
And for anyone who might not know the name, Admiral McRaven, well, he's a giant in this area, retired U.S. Navy SEAL, 4-star commander of U.S. Special Operations Command, SOCOM. We're talking 37 years of experience, international crises, countless critical missions. And this book, it's not just looking back, it's framed as a practical manual.
Exactly. And that's really our mission today, isn't it? To sort of pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from all that real-world experience McRaven brings. We want to give you a clear, kind of actionable framework for when things get uncertain, whether that's, a huge challenge at work, maybe a professional issue coming up, or even something personal.
Like a personal upheaval, yeah.
Right. The idea here is being ready for that moment when the ship hits the rocks, as he puts it. It's like a toolkit for when the unexpected happens, because it always does, eventually.
It really does. So, okay, how does McRaven help us make sense of that chaos? He lays out this framework, 5 phases, really clear, powerful stuff.
Yeah, he boils it down really effectively. It's 5 interconnected phases. So first up is assess. That means, pausing, really understanding the scope, getting the unvarnished facts.
Both the facts, okay.
Then number 2 is report, sharing clear, honest information, getting it out there to your stakeholders.
Transparency, got it.
Third is contain. This is all about stabilizing things, right? Stopping the bleeding, preventing it from escalating.
Makes sense.
Then you move into shape. This is more proactive, influencing outcomes, crafting your strategy, setting the direction forward.
Taking control.
Exactly. And finally, phase 5 is manage. This is about the long haul. Sustaining the effort, keeping focus, maintaining morale over time.
Yeah. Right, because crises aren't usually quick fixes.
Not at all. And what's really striking, I think, is how broadly this model applies. It comes from military operations, obviously, but McRaven shows how it just works across the board. Corporate crises, community issues.
Even personal stuff.
Yeah, even the tough personal moments we all hit. It's like universal language for tackling big problems.
Okay, so let's bring this to life. McRaven uses examples from his career, right? Let's start with that first one. Assess with accuracy, getting the facts straight. Sounds simple, but what's the deeper layer there?
Well, it's more than just collecting info. It's about the absolute need for truth. Right from the get-go. McRaven really stresses this, that first assessment, it's make or break.
Make or break, wow.
Yeah, he tells these stories like having to call General Petraeus during a really critical military mishap. The insight isn't just be honest. It's that truth is actually a strategic weapon in a crisis.
Or a strategic weapon. How so?
Because false assumptions, they just multiply your problems. Accurate data, that helps you divide and conquer them. That immediate truthful understanding stops that, snowball effect of bad information that can just paralyze your response.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. Truth as strategy. Okay, so you've assessed. Next is report transparently. Again, sounds like common sense, but where's the challenge? What pitfalls does he highlight?
He really hammers this one home by contrasting openness with, the disasters that come from secrecy. He points to things like the Iran-Contra affair.
Oh yeah, classic example.
Right, and he shows how holding back information doesn't just kill trust, it actually disempowers everyone who's trying to fix the problem.
Ah, interesting. So transparency isn't just about being good, it's about enabling others.
Precisely. Transparency isn't a weakness. It's the foundation that lets everyone else respond effectively. Being open, even when the truth is hard, builds that credibility you absolutely need. It's leading through honesty, plain and simple.
Okay, clear. Assess accurately, report transparently. Then we hit contain strategically. We hear containment a lot. What's McRaven's spin on stabilizing things?
His take is that containment is, yes, about quick, decisive action, but it's also about thinking ahead. Planning for failure, almost.
Planning for failure.
Yeah, like he talks about a SEAL operation where having redundancy backup plans, alternate routes, extra gear, basically save the mission when Plan A fell apart.
So it's not just reacting, it's building in buffers beforehand.
Exactly. That's the key. Real containment isn't just plugging a leak. It's about having those resilient systems of backups already in place before the crisis hits. Having that redundancy, organizationally and physically, lets you stabilize quickly and stops a small problem from blowing up.
That makes so much sense. Build in the shock absorbers. Okay, now this next phase, this is where you said it gets really interesting. Shape the narrative. Moving from reacting to actively influencing things. How does he suggest you do that when everything feels like it's spinning out of control?
Right, this is where it gets quite strategic. And what's cool is how he uses history. He talks about figures like Scipio Africanus.
Scipio, fighting Hannibal, right?
Exactly. Scipio didn't just defend Rome. He took the fight to Hannibal's home turf in North Africa. A super audacious move. And it completely changed the power dynamic of the whole war.
Forced Hannibal to react, basically.
Precisely. And that's the lesson McRaven draws out. Crisis management isn't just defense. It's about proactively defining the terms of engagement, maybe even turning a weakness into an offensive move. It's about getting out ahead, changing the story, dictating the terms instead of just responding.
Changing the game itself. Love that. Okay, and the final phase, manage long-term. He stresses that crises rarely just end suddenly. What does that sustained management look like?
Yeah, this is so vital because burnout is real, right? Sustained management for McRaven means consistent, visible leadership. You have to actively keep morale up, especially when things are tough.
Keep people going.
Keep people going, constantly adjust your tactics as things change on the ground, and tirelessly reinforce why you're doing what you're doing. The purpose.
Right, it's not just solving the immediate fire.
Exactly. It's about the long-term commitment, the follow-through. A crisis isn't truly over just because the immediate danger is gone.
Yeah.
It's over when things are stable and the future path is clear. And that takes consistent, focused effort over time.
Okay, that's the framework. Assess, report, contain, shape, manage. So let's pull back a bit. Looking at the book overall, what does this mean for you, the listener? What are its biggest strengths? Why should someone grab this book?
Well, the strengths are pretty significant. First off, just the sheer real-world credibility. This isn't theory, right? McRaven lived this stuff. Hostage rescues, evacuations. The authority is undeniable.
You feel that when you read it.
Absolutely. Second, that clear tactical framework we just walked through. The 5 phases. Super easy to grasp, remember, and hopefully apply.
Very practical.
Very. Third, the diverse examples he uses. It's not all special ops. He weaves in history, other contemporary situations. It makes it relatable, I think, no matter your field.
Yeah, it broadens the appeal.
And finally, it's engaging and concise. It's not some massive tome. It's focused, direct, good for busy leaders, good for students, gets right to the point.
Okay, strong points. That credibility really stands out. But like any guide, especially translating from, elite military ops to maybe everyday life for business, are there limitations, things listeners should maybe keep in mind?
That's a really fair question. And yes, there are things to consider. One potential area is that some advice might feel a bit maybe surface level on complexity for certain situations.
How so?
Well, like the idea to gather advisors who'll speak truth to power, great advice. But if you're, say, a solo entrepreneur or facing a purely personal crisis, assembling a team of experts isn't always feasible, right?
Right, the resources aren't there. Does he offer scaled down advice?
Not always explicitly, no. So that's one thing. Second, the military lens, while he tries to make it universal, might still feel a bit distant for some readers. The context is just very different.
Understandable.
And tied to that first point, it sometimes assumes access to resources. Coordinating high-level comms, mobilizing teams quickly. That's easier with the infrastructure of SecCom than, say, a small nonprofit.
Good point.
So, yeah, the takeaway for you, listening, is definitely consider your own context. The principles, rock solid, I think, but how you execute them might need some translation depending on your situation.
That's really helpful framing. Translate the principles.
Yeah.
Okay, so considering all the strengths, the potential limitations, who really stands to gain the most from conquering crisis, who should be putting this on their reading list?
Oh, I think the benefit is really broad.
Yeah.
Definitely leaders at all levels, managers, entrepreneurs, folks in public service, educators, anyone staring down uncertainty.
Anyone managing people or projects, basically.
Yeah. Also, students of decision making. If you're studying leadership, crisis management, org behavior, this gives you a tested framework straight from the field. Very valuable.
Okay.
And importantly, I think, individuals facing personal or professional crises, the core ideas really do scale down. Assess your situation honestly, record clearly, even if just to yourself or a confidant, contain the damage, shape your response, manage it long term. it applies.
That's powerful, the idea that it scales down to personal challenges.
It really does.
Right.
So the final verdict, I'd say Conquering Crisis is a really robust, highly credible guide. It helps you navigate uncertainty with strategic clarity, courage, character. It translates these intense battlefield lessons into accessible steps. It's both a compass and a toolkit.
Yeah.
Highly recommended for leaders, sure, but also anyone just wanting to be better prepared for life's inevitable bumps.
A compass and a toolkit. I like that. So the big takeaway seems clear. McRaven's framework gives you this powerful, actionable way to handle crises, big or small. Breaking it down into those 5 phases really simplifies things, gives you a path forward.
Absolutely. It gives you structure when everything feels chaotic.
Yeah.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Consider how these phases apply not just to the huge challenges, but maybe to the micro crises. The little things that pop up day to day at work or home.
Ah, small stuff.
Yeah. Where could a quick assess or a simple contain step now save you from a much bigger ship hitting the rocks situation later on? It's often those small early moves that make the biggest difference.
That's a fantastic point. Applying the framework even to the small bumps in the road. Great thought. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. Lots to think about there. Until next time, keep exploring.